one of the great things that we do is we unmask, the homeless population to everybody, to libertarians, conservatives, liberals. It doesn't matter. We want people to encourage a conversation where um, there's an understanding. We believe that if more people, again, we're told, this is not just something that uh, we have dissected in our own little lab. This is something that we are told constantly by our volunteers, that they've learned so much about um, the root causes of poverty than reading a journal or looking at data, by talking to these people, understanding. Remember that old adage of 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon or whatever that was. And I talk about this all the time when I'm asked to, is that we go out to the streets, we realize it's 1 or 2 degrees. We see, college graduates. We see, we met a double PhD from Berkeley last year. We met teachers and professors and doctors and uh, uh, people who have great jobs and who had great lives. And a lot of military folks, officers, enlisted people. Um, uh, a friend of mine, one of our volunteers, was on Wall Street. He's a very successful tech entrepreneur, and was having lunch or breakfast, dinner, something with a vice chair or somebody high up in the Fed. And so they were having dinner, and Chad told his buddy what he had just done that weekend, which was to work with us a few Decembers ago. And this guy looked him straight in the eye and said, "You need to go back and tell your well-heeled West LA friends a few interesting tidbits." Again, here's the Fed. The Fed has access to every piece of economic data that we could ever want, right? I mean, they slice the apple so thin that it's transparent because they have to. They manage fiscal policy for the world, basically. So he said, "Tell your hoity-toities out there that the average upper middle class, not middle class or poor or fringe, the average upper middle class individual is 2 catastrophic events from being homeless." And Chad looked at him and said, "Were you kidding?" I said, "Think about it, pal. Divorce, lose your job."
Well, what about healthcare? I
Health,
don't know about you, but
right?
I shit myself because I can't remember what the cap on my policy is, but
Right?
do you know? I mean, most policies cap out at $2 to $3 million if you're lucky, if you have a
Yep.
good policy.
Yep.
And so, God forbid you had to have like a gigantic, a horrible long cancer or heart transplant, or, I mean, you could blow through $3 million in the United States. I don't know, pretty fucking fast, I think.
Yep.
And
So,
now what, right?
right. So you have no money to pay for your own healthcare. Let's say and then you're not working, right? So you don't have a job. And then what if you live in Los Angeles or San Francisco? Do you know what it costs to rent, and the average cost for rent in Los Angeles? So it's not just the rent for an apartment, it's a security deposit. So if an apartment costs $2,000, you need 4 to sign a
I
lease.
mean, I'm not an expert on what's going on in San Francisco by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that $3,000 a month is a hard thing to get done, and you're going to have, of course, all kinds of roommates, and like $3,000 a month just doesn't really do much in San Francisco.